Good morning. This is Ray Ferrara, Chair of CFP Board for 2014, and I would like to welcome everyone to our webinar where we are proud to chat about the public awareness campaign and where we've been, but perhaps more importantly, where we're going from here. So if we could go to the next slide. Our agenda this morning is we're going to talk back again about our campaign objectives of where we have come. CFP Board is extremely pleased and happy with the results that we have had so far. All of the work that has been done is research-based, and we'll be talking about that, both how we're measuring things on a go-forward basis as well as the actual results themselves. We're going to get a chance to look at the new ad that will begin running today. It is fun, it is edgy, it is creative, and CFP Board of Directors got a chance to see it earlier today, and we hope that you'll be as pleased with it as they were. I'd like to remind everyone why the emphasis on awareness, which is one of the four overarching objectives for our 5-year strategic plan. The CFP Board's mission, at the risk of reading to you, to benefit the public by granting the CFP certification and upholding it as the recognized standard of excellence for competent and ethical personal financial planning. This campaign is designed to let the public know about the CFP certification, to raise their top-of-mind awareness, and to make it their choice when seeking a financial planner. So the more aware that consumers are of the competence, the ethics of CFP professionals, the better that they can end up being served. And to the next slide, please. Where I'd like to hand things back over to Kevin, and I will be anxious to learn how all of you respond to this new ad. Kevin?
Ray, thank you very much. And just for folks listening in, Ray has another commitment, so he'll be leaving us now. But Ray, I wanted to share, first of all, the overarching objective that the board has set out for us at the staff level to execute on. And that is for us to increase the awareness of, the preference for, and the intent to use a certified financial planner professional. If you think about it, it's the traditional marketing funnel approach where at the highest level, people need to be aware of CFP certification before they can have a potential preference for one, or and even more importantly, an intent to use a CFP professional. We're actually today entering the 4th year of the public awareness campaign, and to date we've had significant results. From the beginning, as I was out on the road talking hopefully to many of you, and we were talking about the public awareness campaign and the need for such a campaign, one of the questions that came up frequently was, well, that's good, but how are you going to measure the results? And so that measure is tied directly to the goals of the campaign. On the previous slide, I told you the goal for the campaign was to increase awareness. And that indeed is the measure for how we are doing. To date, we have raised unaided awareness of CFP certification by 4 percentage points among the target market. And for those at the top of mind level, we have raised it by 7 points. I want to just visit for a moment about how we conduct this research. Essentially, we use an independent research firm, not related to the advertising agency, and they conduct the survey research in a longitudinal style the same way each year. So before we launched the campaign, they assembled a representative sample of the target market and asked them about what certifications and designations they were aware of for people who provide financial planning. If they could say CFP or Certified Financial Planner without any other prompting, we count that as unaided. If CFP is the first thing they mention, we note that as top of mind. So we've had a 7% increase in top of mind and overall a 4% increase in the unaided awareness, which, by the way, was the objective for the 4-year campaign. Ray mentioned at the top that our campaign is research-based, and we have tested a variety of different statements for the impact that they will have on the prospective target market. We ask about ethics, education, the various, as we refer to them as the 4 E's, and over a dozen other potential positioning statements, seeking to determine which statements would be most compelling to a prospective client of CFP certification. We have such a small share of the overall advertising spend that we want to make sure that the money we spend is delivering a message that will be compelling to the target market. So if we start with the existing campaign up to this point has been a focus on comprehensive evaluations and ethics and planning focus. These key messages are still important, but what we have found as we've looked at the year-over-year brand tracking study, the fact that the concept of the highest standard, CFP being the highest standard, can have an additional impact. And so not only is it compelling, the fact that CFP certification is the highest standard, but it's also the truth. And so when you think about what makes for a strong brand, it's when you have that intersection of what's unique about an entity and the truth makes for a strong brand. So that's where we are with the positioning of the campaign that begins today. And at this point, I would like to turn the agenda over to Tom Crowder. Tom is CFP Board's Managing Director of Marketing and Business Development. We're fortunate to have Tom on our team at CFP Board. He has been in advertising his entire life. He started working with various agencies, working on both consumer products as well as financial services, and then ended up at J. Walter Thompson, where he worked on the Sprint account, and after that, just prior to coming to CFP Board, he worked at Verizon for 12 years, leaving there as Vice President of Marketing for Verizon, where he had responsibility for a campaign in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So, Tom, with that, we'll turn it over, and you can tell us what you're doing with our $10 million.
Well, thank you, Kevin. And I wanted to talk a little bit about our creative approach before we share the creative itself, the new campaign. I wanted to make sure you're aware that it was research-based. As Kevin mentioned, the messages that you'll see in the campaign came right out of our research. We wanted to, after it had been a couple of years, revalidate all the messages that we initially went out to consumers with to see if the same ones were resonating. And we also added some new statements. And what we did find, as Kevin mentioned, was those that we have been using do resonate. And when combined with a new message, resonate even more. So that's where the creative is coming from. Also, I wanted to let you know that the creative was consumer tested. So we shared these creative concepts that you'll see with consumers. And we talked with them, got their impressions of what they got out of the advertising, what messages they felt they delivered, what their impressions were of CFP after that fact. And what we found was that these were very impactful and they resonated. The advertising you'll see is also consumer-centric. Basically, it's coming out of the key insight that we have on our consumer, which is many consumers or prospective clients don't know where to go or who to trust with their financial advice. Many people are sitting on the sidelines doing it themselves because they don't know where to go or who to trust, and many of them are wondering whether they're with the right person for their finances. So this comes right out of that consumer insight. And as Kevin mentioned, our positioning as a certified financial planner is the highest standard of financial professional. Finally, because we don't have the size of a budget of some of the industry leaders, we need to stand out from some of the sameness of other financial advertising, which is why it's important to take a look at the next slide, which is it shows you that breaking through is very important for us. Although we have a really solid budget, we are dwarfed by other financial and insurance advertisers. We have less than 0.5% of what we call the share of voice, so we need to stand out. And to me, that means we don't want to look like all the other financial advertising. We don't want a lot of financial advertising has a spokesperson, or I call it a talking head. There are a lot of couples on the beach at sunset, and we have really worked hard to come up with concepts that are going to break out of that sameness that's out there. Because we don't have the budget, the media budget, to basically bludgeon that message over the head of consumers until they get it. We want them to get it right when they see it. So the campaign that we'll be sharing, it's called If They're Not a CFP Professional, You Just Don't Know. And how we demonstrate that is through a reality format. This is more memorable and I think more effective for us. It also stands out of the sameness. I think as you'll see, we took someone with no financial training and saw what happened when real people with real finances met with him. We're going to play the spot twice. I do want to let you know that the spot is supported by print and other media, which we'll go through. And in this format of the webcast, it's a little bit distorted. The spot is squished in, if you will, a little bit. But we will show you and send you or tell you about where you can see the spot later, where you can see it in its real format. So rest assured that it is okay when it'll be on the television.
Tom, and I want to talk about, because a little bit, it is a reality spot. This was, if I might, and just share a little bit of the background. CFP Board with the actor and the creative team took over the 48th floor of the Chase Tower in Dallas, and we set up a faux financial planning firm, and people came there thinking they were meeting with a financial advisor. And so you'll see this but the whole thing is really quite, it is a reality play, and we like the results. So with that, we'll run the ad twice, and make sure you obviously have your speakers up or you wouldn't hear us.
Let me talk to you about retirement. 401k is the most sound way to go. Let's talk asset allocation.
Sure.
You seem knowledgeable, professional.
Would you trust me as your financial advisor?
I would.
I would indeed.
Well, let's be clear here. I'm actually a DJ.
No way.
I have no financial experience at all.
That really is you.
If they're not a CFP pro, you just don't know. Find a certified financial planner professional who's thoroughly vetted at letsmakeaplan.org. CFP. Work with the highest standard.
Let me talk to you about retirement. 401k is the most sound way to go. Let's talk asset allocation.
Sure.
You seem knowledgeable, professional.
Would you trust me as your financial advisor?
I would.
I would indeed.
Well, let's be clear here. I'm actually a DJ.
No way.
I have no financial experience at all.
That really is you.
If they're not a CFP pro, you just don't know. Find a certified financial planner professional who's thoroughly vetted at letsmakeaplan.org. CFP. Work with the highest standard.
Okay, so that was our new TV spot, and you'll see now our print ad. This will be in magazines, which I'll share with you later. It follows the same story and concept. This is our launch execution, but we will also have more executions as the year goes on. So you'll see that our DJ, our financial planner, is featured here. It says, this man is Chris Kaminsky, a reputable financial advisor, B, Azimuth, a beat-blasting DJ with no financial training whatsoever, or C, part of an experiment to make a point. You'll see in the lower left-hand corner the answer key, which is answer B and a little bit of C. Not all financial advisors are what they appear, but when you choose a certified financial planner professional, you'll know exactly who you're working with. That's because every CFP Pro is thoroughly vetted to uphold the highest standards of education, experience, and ethics. It's your financial future. Know who's helping you plan it. Watch the experiment at letsmakeaplan.org. And then we have online components. We will have online video. As well as online video, we'll have online display. It's called display flash banners, which when you're on a website would be in the upper or right-hand column usually. This is our first one. We're going to play it for you twice, and then we'll roll out more as the year goes on. So we'll play this twice. So one's a qualified financial advisor, one's a club-hopping DJ. See who's who. And then it ends with work with the highest standard, certified financial planner. If you were to click on this banner, then you would come to our Let's Make a Plan site with this entry page, where you would see our DJ and financial advisor, and it would toggle back and forth before and after his transformation, and encourage you to click for more information. Once you click for more information, you would come to the page on the site that talks about why CFP certification matters. Because we know from our research that what consumers really wanted to know after they saw the advertising was what exactly goes into the certification, and this will answer that very succinctly. So we've also updated the Let's Make a Plan website. So that was how you would get into the site if you were to click on one of these banner ads. But if you were not, if you wanted just to type in letsmakeaplan.org, or you came up in a search result on Google and you clicked through, you would get this homepage for the Let's Make a Plan site, which would show the TV spot which you could play, encourage you to click on for more information, and then you'd go down that same path that I just took you through for the banner ad, ending up with why CFP certification is important. There's one thing I just wanted to point out in case somebody had a question. I'll cover those right now in terms of our use of planner versus advisor. We know that financial advisor is a more common term with consumers. It's on the web 62 times more frequently than financial planner, and we know that consumers search for financial advisors 3 times more than they do financial planners. And I think, so financial advisor is really the term most used by consumers. And what we want to do is draw a distinction between financial advisor and financial planner. If we were only to use the financial planner term, we risk consumers thinking they only need to watch out for financial planners, not financial advisors in general. And financial advisors is the term that they use more generally. Our strategy for that was to highlight the distinction and show that someone should look for a certified financial planner professional, and they should know that not every financial advisor, that they may or may not be qualified. So we want to direct people to certified financial planner professionals and have them think that they need to look into the qualifications of just generic financial advisors. Finally, just give you some of the feedback that we got from consumers when we shared the ads with them. I think most importantly was that it resonated, that they were able to repeat back to us the message that we wanted to communicate, that CFP is the highest standard. You can see that they thought it was entertaining and breakthrough. There are quotes like, I like that it was amusing and fun, and it actually caught my attention. It was funny. It grabs your attention, and if that's the point, it worked. The CFP, the branding comes through. It's telling me I should go see a CFP professional if I want the highest standard of financial advice. And the ideas did seem to make people pause and really think about who they're seeing or considering seeing. And people, one quote was, people need a wake-up call to get them to think twice about it. And this did seem to be a relevant message to them. And one quote was, you can't just trust somebody by the way they look. Their background and credentials are really important, and that definitely comes through in this ad. So that is just a review of our new campaign creative. I also wanted just to review our media plan. So where are the ads going to run? So in terms of reaching our target is remaining the same in the same research that we came out with the new creative. We also revalidated our media target. We call it the mass affluent initiator, but in general, it's both demographic and psychographic. We are targeting those with investable assets of $100,000 to $1 million. But we know that there's going to be message spill to those with $1 million plus and those with less than $100,000.
Tom, stop right there. What does message spill mean? You're talking agency speak.
That means that when we're on TV, it's not just people with $100,000 to $1 million that will see the message. People with more than $1 million will also see the message. People with less than $100,000 will also see the message. And we know that the average CFP professional's average client has about $500,000 in investable assets, and that's why we chose this range. Our age group is 35 to 64, and similar to the investable assets, we will reach people who are both older and younger when we're in our magazines and on TV and on the internet. We found out a couple of years ago that while demographics are important, it's really mindset that is the key predictor of whether someone would be more likely to seek out financial planning. There are 11 questions or statements that we look at that qualify somebody as a mass affluent initiator, the term we coined for this kind of mindset. Just some of them are they tend to trust experts, which makes sense, right? You'd be more likely to seek out advice if you trust experts than do it yourself. They prefer to work as part of a team. They are responsible and practical. They think managing their finances is complex and time-consuming. In other words, they don't really want to do it, and they agree with 7 other statements as well.
But and interesting, Tom. When I talk to advisors, and those of you who are practicing financial planning, you know this. You know when a person comes in, you know the mindset of usually if somebody's going to be a good client or not. And what we've attempted to do with the campaign is to quantify that and then match it up with our media buy so we can be as efficient as possible.
That's right. It's about, as we qualify, the mass affluent initiator is about 6% of U.S. adults, 35 to 64. And in our media buy, we actually buy the mindset. So we match the research that is done on different readers of magazines, viewers of TV networks, where they ask very similar attitude statements to the ones I just went through. And we actually buy the media based on their attitudes, not just their demographics. So our media buy for 2014 will be very similar to in years past. We're going to have a good amount of television and print magazine as well as online and NPR advertising. And our media strategy this year is really to amplify that highest standard positioning. We're going to do that by trying to have adjacencies or put our advertising in the context of editorial that talks about highest standards. So as an example, we might be near one of the best of lists in the U.S. News and World Report. We might be next to the Forbes Best Small Companies list, and we'll be having a sponsorship for the Masters Golf Tournament. And then these are some of the networks and properties that we will be on. As in years past, it'll be a combination of news and entertainment, NPR, and then in the online row, Brightroll and AFAPERF, these are online advertising networks. So while there are only 2 of them, those will place advertising on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different websites based on our target criteria, so our target mass affluent initiator. We'll be doing paid search so that when someone searches for a term, the ones that are highlighted up at the top, those are paid for positions. We're going to pay for those throughout the year as much as we can. And then we have a wide range of magazines that match our target mass affluent initiator. In terms of scheduling, we'll kick off today with TV, which is our key seasonality now through tax time. You'll see continuous support in magazine and online paid search throughout the rest of the year. And then we'll come back and we'll have online display, those splash banners I showed earlier, and video during the key spring and fall seasons. And then NPR will be our broadcast umbrella in the fall. With this schedule, we're going to reach 94% of adults that are 35 to 64. And those will be reached at least one time during 2014. And 84% of adults 35 to 64 will be reached at least 3 times during the year. As Kevin said earlier, Our key measures are awareness. We'll also look at our brand metrics, preference, intent, a lot of other metrics there to get a sense of whether the campaign's making an impact, but awareness is what we are keyed in on. And then we would like to invite you to help us extend the message. You may be familiar with our online toolkit. It's cfp.net/toolkit. And we've updated our information today. In the toolkit are some research findings, advertising materials that you can use for your own benefit. You can take the advertising, customize it for your own use. A copy of our media schedule is there, as well as some television programming where you might see our advertising over the next 2 weeks. Also in the toolkit are things that you can use in your business, brochures that could be helpful to put in your client kits, as well as the CFP mark logo art and guidelines. All that's in cfp.net/toolkit. This gives you a sense of what that looks like. You can see the logo materials there, advertising materials on the right, things you can order and resources on the lower left. And very importantly, because we get over 500,000 searches a year, and well above that, is to make sure that you're listed on our search function. So the search function only lists CFP professionals who have gone in and provided the additional information to be listed in search that indicate that they're a practicing financial planner and that indicate they're accepting new clients. The search, when someone searches, they have a number of different ways they can search, is randomized for each search. So there'll be a random assortment of CFP professionals that show up during a search, and if they research, it'll be another randomized list of CFP professionals so that everybody gets fair treatment in terms of the display of the search. So I'd like to encourage you to update your record if you haven't already, and you can do that by logging into your CFP Board account at cfp.net/login. You can see here, update your profile is circled in red. So if you go to cfp.net/login, log in and see this, click on Update Your Profile to make sure you're in the search. And just to close up, I'd like to open it up for questions. And for those questions, just I'll say now that we don't get to or that are similar to others being asked that still want a response, we will address those and send them out to you individually, but we wanted to open it up for questions now.
Great. Thank you very much, Tom. We have a number of questions that have come in. And I would like to start with Lauren, who asks, did you consider using a woman financial planner in either the print or TV ad?
Yes, we did. And in fact, we do have some executions that involve a woman.
Execution sounds rather grim.
Advertisements.
We have some versions of the print ad.
We had to make a choice, and we looked at a lot of talent, and this guy seemed to be the best. He was a professional DJ and an actor, and you can see how dramatic his transformation was.
He gave those dreadlocks up after how many years?
Gave his dreadlocks up after 15 years for our cause, Competent and Ethical Financial Planning.
Great. Kyle asks if the content in the toolkit can be used in social media.
Yes. I think the key here is that you follow whatever compliance guidelines you have individually or at your firm, but there are materials in there that you can use or adapt to your social media strategies.
Dan asks, again, are there interactive materials for the website? So we'll be able to...
So you should be able to display the TV spot on your website by embedding it, and that is in the toolkit as well to show you how to do that.
We had a question that came in ahead of time. How will the new campaign messaging help CFP professionals?
Well, I think anybody that's gone through the process of becoming certified knows that it's a very thorough process, and not always do consumers know what you've gone through to get that, and it's very helpful for them to know that. That's really what prompted the campaign when we started, was CFP professionals wanting their clients or prospective clients to know more about the certification. So I think this helps by when more people are aware and more people prefer and more people intend to use and search, I think it'll benefit CFP professionals' businesses. But I think it'll also benefit you if you have a prospective client in the office and you talk about your CFP certification, they're more likely to be aware of it or to be more familiar with it where it'll be more meaningful to them.
Tom, this is a question that I get a lot when I'm out on the road. The person tells us that they're in a small market, and they ask, can I expect any part of the campaign to reach my local market? The flip side of that, when I go to New York, people say, well, why are we paying to fund a campaign that's going to go to small markets? So maybe you could address that.
So the good news on that is we've gone to great effort to make sure that all of our buys are national. That means if you are able to access the internet where you live, if you get magazines delivered where you live, or whether you're able to watch TV where you live, the prospective clients in your area will see that advertising or have the potential to see that advertising, whether it's in a large or a small market.
That's great. I love that. When I'm in the middle of the country, people, have the question, how will my people be able to see it? And when I'm on the coast, people have a slightly different view. Another question that we had in advance, how long do you anticipate the campaign will last?
So the board, when we initially went into the campaign, we had talked about a 4-year campaign because we know it takes a while to move the numbers. The numbers that Kevin talked about earlier are actually points over baseline. So while it may say 4%, it's not just a 4% increase, it's 4 points over baseline, which is a substantial move. So the campaign has been successful, and the board this past year had approved proceeding with the campaign. And I guess the assumption is if the campaign continues to be successful, it could continue on indefinitely.
And David asks a similar question, will the CFP dues remain the same? I want to respond, I know it's a technicality, but it's your recertification fee. We're not a membership association, so we don't have dues, but the fees are contemplated to remain the same at this time. Here's a question. Sean asks, why are we not advertising on CNBC?
So our media schedule is put together based on our masculine initiator target, and what we have tried to do is put together the best combination of news and entertainment networks, publications, and online sites that are most likely to reach our target, which is both demographic and psychographic. So if there is a network that's not on the buy, that's probably why it's not on there.
And one of the other reasons Tom, we have, people who watch CNBC are more likely to already be aware of CFP certification as opposed to are likely to be aware of CFP certification. Mark asks, how much are you spending on the new phase of the campaign, and how much have you spent so far?
So our budget is about a $10 million budget annually. All of the fees that are collected as part of the annual fees, that's $145 a year, go to are really dedicated to the expenses of the public awareness campaign. They don't fund anything else. So as the CFP population grows, the budget grows, but basically it's around $10 million a year.
Great. Robert has a question. Please discuss ways, and I think we've addressed this, but if you'd address it again, ways that CFP professionals can directly use this material or piggyback this material.
So I think the toolkit is the best place to go, cfp.net/toolkit, and I think you should look at the materials and see how well they align with your personal plan for your personal business. And if there's anything there you could use, I highly recommend using it. It does help everybody's awareness increase, and it'll help your business as well.
Again, a similar question, and we love these questions because we're trying to leverage the campaign into the local market. Gordon asks, will we be able to post on our website the TV commercial spot?
Yes, if you go to the toolkit, there's directions on how you can embed that TV spot into your website if you would like.
And I believe it's up on. We're on YouTube now. I believe. I believe that we're on YouTube. Here is another question about the target market. Is the campaign focused exclusively on consumers with a high net worth? Financial planning is necessary for all individuals and families, and we very much agree. But again, just another thought, if you would, Tom, on the target market.
Sure. The primary target, as mentioned, is prospective clients with $100,000 to $1 million in investable assets. But we will also reach when the TV spots air, when the magazines go out. They're also going to reach a lot of people that have less than $100,000 in investable assets as well. In addition to the paid advertising, we also have earned media that will also reach that audience. What that means is there's a team here, a communications team, that does a great job of getting out our message in news and editorial, and those messages reach our other audiences as well. And Kevin, as you know, CFP Board has a lot of initiatives that try and reach underserved consumers who don't necessarily have access to financial planning advice.
We do indeed. Tom, one of our listeners asks, you showed just one TV commercial and one print ad. Will there be others?
So we'll be running this TV spot for right up until tax time, and then we'll be off until the next early part of 2015. So that'll give it a good long rest. So this is our TV spot, and as you probably know, they're expensive to create. So that is our TV spot for the near term, but we will have new print and new online executions later in the year. These are the ones we're launching with.
Here's a question that I get a lot of times is when I'm out as well. Will we be notified ahead of time when the commercials are going to run in our area?
So we buy networks and we buy time periods that are going to most likely reach our target audience. It's difficult. The networks don't have those spots necessarily cycled out months ahead of time. What we have done is put in the toolkit a list of likely times you can see the ad over the next 2 weeks, and that's in our toolkit, cfp.net/toolkit.
Thomas writes in, most high schools use Dave Ramsey in the materials. Ramsey is for-profit. Why isn't CFP Board making materials to influence our kids? One of the things I would tell you is that there are a number of different organizations that have a different focus. CFP Board's mission is focused on granting the certification and making others aware of it. And we work very closely, though, with NEFI, the National Endowment for Financial Education, and they have programs, they have curricula that's available in a variety of different school settings, different formats that can be delivered. And so we try to be as efficient as we can with the fees that CFP professionals pay, and we leave the financial education to our folks working about the National Endowment of Financial Education. Let me just look at a couple other questions coming in. We're kind of coming to the end of our questions, so if you have others, please let us know because we've gotten through most of them here. Again, another question about the use of the term financial advisors. Why didn't you call them financial planners? Isn't that how most CFP professionals describe themselves? So, Tom, I'll let you start, and I'll kind of wrap up on that one.
Right. So I think our strategy was to try and draw a distinction. And when we're setting someone up as someone that you should look into their backgrounds and credentials, we're using the term financial advisor. And when we're pointing consumers to where they should go for competent and ethical financial advice, we're using the term certified financial planner professional. And that's the strategy.
A person here asks, who comments, did you really trick the people in the commercial into thinking they were meeting with a financial advisor? How did they react?
So certainly our goal was not to go trick people, but these people had been brought in to see they thought a financial advisor, and then they had a short period with that financial advisor, and then it was revealed that he was not a financial advisor, as you saw. We did this with about 12 to 14 people. Pretty much everybody was not expecting that he was not a financial advisor. They thought he was a financial advisor, and pretty much 2 to 1, they all really enjoyed the process, enjoyed the fact that they were essentially part of a commercial, and it really brought home the point to them that they need to really look for credentials, not just how a person talks and how they appear. So it brought home an important lesson to them. I'm talking as they talked to us about it. So they felt like it was a valuable lesson, and they got something out of it.
Tom, we may need to correct something because the question earlier, why are we not on CNBC? But I think it's not on the list.
We actually are on CNBC. I just was.
And it's not. I don't see it on the.
Wasn't on our slide.
In fact, Tanina, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, said, I saw the new, quote, reality ad this morning on Squawk on the Street and thought it was great. Way long overdue. Otherwise, I never see any CFP ads, and I watch at least half of the stations where you say we're going to be. So once again, Tanina, we are on the air for the first 3 months, essentially the first, February through tax season for the broadcast. So we're about 1/4 of the year on the air, and then we come back on the air on National Public Radio in the fall, and we cover the rest of the year with print and online ads. Just to take a look, kind of the last couple of questions here. Well, here's a question, Tom. There's one that looks similar. I had several questions, so I'm going to kind of put them together. One person says, are you making fun of DJs in the television ad? And somebody else commented that it made financial planners look silly. So let's kind of take both of those and talk about the creative and what the objective was.
Sure. The DJ was very much in on the process here. He was definitely enjoying it. He's also a professional actor. He did not, as a professional DJ, think at all that we were making fun of DJs. I think the point we were trying to make was really somebody that has no training in financial advice but can put on a suit and throw out a couple of financial terms can often, a consumer can feel comfortable with that person even though they have no qualified background.
And Tom, the day of the day of the taping in Dallas, I was there. Obviously, listening in, we had 12 different people come in over the course of the day. And for those of you who meet with clients, it was frightening that these people were actually fooled by this guy who was good, but he wasn't like great. And so the general public was really quite. They really were caught off guard.
And I think on your other question about CFP professionals and image, we showed the advertising to a lot of people. I talked about the research we did earlier, and nobody had mentioned that they felt like it tarnished the image of CFP to them. They readily associated this with the highest standard, which was our goal. So what they did say is that they felt like it was done in an entertaining way that might engage their attention. So they felt like they might actually pay attention to this versus watch it in the background if it was something a little bit more like the other advertising that's out there.
This is a follow-up on the comment about why doesn't CFP Board do more in the area of financial literacy at the high school level. Donald writes in to tell us that FPA chapters are working jointly with Junior Achievement to present planning concepts in the school system. So if that person is interested in volunteering, they can contact their local Junior Achievement chapter, or if they're an FPA member, work with their local pro bono person to even volunteer to deliver programming at the school level. I think we're coming quickly to the end of the questions. Tom, anything else? I'm going to, just kind of, if you kind of wrap this up, and then let me kind of look and see if there are any other questions here.
Sure, and I will say that if there are a number of questions that come up on the screen here. Many are similar to others, so we've tried to address the ones that are around different topics. If we didn't answer your specific question, we'll try and get back to you individually. But in summary, the campaign starts today. We're excited about it. We think it's going to break through even more than our past advertising, and we'll be measuring it via our brand tracker research, which is quantitative research that we do on an annual basis.
Tom, thank you very much. You've been listening to a webinar about CFP Board's public awareness campaign. In closing, feedback from both Troy and John who write in. Troy says, not a question, but just an expression of gratitude for the campaign. The campaign has provided the bulk of my client leads. Thank you. John says, looks like you've developed a great lineup of media. Looking forward to the campaign. Again, CFP Board's public awareness campaign kicks off for its fourth year today. We're pleased to share with you the initial creative. There will be more creative coming out. I would draw your attention again to the toolkit, which is cfpboard.net/toolkit to view the ad to get customizable creative that you can use to promote your own services. And with that, we sign off from Washington, D.C.